Welcome back to the Lauren Epstein Show. I'm your host, Lauren Epstein, and we are both live streaming this. Now we got to maybe move that light over. Probably go out too. We're live streaming this on YouTube. This is the second time, so if you're watching it, like it and share it. I love saying that. Like it and share it, and we're going to get the show on the road. So we are at the Talent Board Day of the conference here at both ERE and Talent Board. Tonight we're going to be talking about we're going to have the Candidate Experience Awards, and during the 3 days we have some amazing presentations. And so I've got this very cool guest I want to introduce. So raise your hand, and I want to see hands up if you've eaten a bowl of Ben and Jerry's ice cream with brownies. Right here, for since the 70s, I think.
Yeah, man.
I've been a big fan of Ben and Jerry's forever. Well, today with me is the leader of the company that bakes the brownies, Mike Brady. Mike, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So Mike and Mike brought brownies. I'm so stoked. Mike brought. Do you guys sell the brownies?
We do.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you got to go buy the brownies.
Yeah.
Mike is the president and CEO of Grayston Foundation and is it Greystone or Greystone? Grayston Bakery. Grayston is building on the organization's 37-year heritage as a leading social enterprise. Grayston is best known for its practice of open hiring, and we're going to talk about open hiring, which embraces an individual's potential by providing employment opportunities regardless of background or work history, which I love. Mike's TED Talk, he has a TED Talk, it's titled, Why We Hire Unemployed People. So go ahead, Google it, Google Mike. I'll wait. I'm waiting. Okay. So Mike is now leading the vision to launch the Grayston Center for Open Hiring, which is a nonprofit that has offices around the country. I think they've got 5 offices now around the country.
We're growing every day. Yep.
So where are the offices now?
Well, we're based out of Yonkers, New York.
Right.
And we have initiatives in the Netherlands, which is huge. And then in Rochester, we're developing something, hopefully in then Boston, Chicago, Atlanta. So we have a number of pilots in the works.
Awesome. And my favorite thing is that Grayston is New York State's first B Corporation.
That's right.
So are you a benefit corporation and a B Corp? Are you
Correct.
certified?
You know the difference? We're certified. We're New York State's first benefit corp. Which means we're legally a benefit
but
corp.
Are you a B Corp certified?
And a B Corp certified.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
my listeners know the difference because I interviewed Jamie Raskin, who was who's the state representative from Maryland who started the ball rolling 10 years ago.
Super cool.
And he was inspired by this guy, Jim Epstein, who's not related to me, but he's a buddy of mine.
Okay.
So we interviewed them this past year on the Hill. It was a great show.
Yeah.
And we also interviewed the guys from B Corp. So if you know anything about B Corp or benefit corporations, go learn.
You have to. It is super cool. Huge movement.
So, why this for you, man? Because, you've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I should eat a brownie while
you
talk.
should.
Then you can talk.
Grayston.com.
Okay.
Go. You can order these online, and you can have them at your door.
Are they all the same?
Meaning what?
Are they all the same flavors?
No. You've got.
Well, you talk. I'm gonna preview.
All right.
Yeah. So tell me why you got into this.
Yeah, I had a reasonably long career for someone that worked in technology.
Yeah, conventional.
And, I love the pace of technology. The reality is the social justice and social enterprise space is moving at the same pace. And I want to do something where the 8, 10, 12 hours a day that you work gives back in a way that's a little bit more meaningful. Depending on how long we want to get into it, my wife got a brownie as a gift, and we were looking to get involved somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
She got one of these brownies.
She got one of these brownies. We've since changed the branding, but it was in a gift pack, and we read about this amazing bakery in Yonkers, started by a Zen Buddhist monk that had this model of hiring that provided opportunities to anyone that wanted an opportunity to get in the workforce, and we volunteered to get involved.
Really?
Yeah.
For how long did you volunteer?
I was a volunteer for about 1.5 years, and then I was invited to join the board.
Wow.
Yeah, and from there I took over the bakery, and then from that I took over the nonprofit.
And how long has it been now?
It's been 7 years.
These are great brownies.
You're doing great.
Yeah, these are great.
Yeah.
So,
fudgy, delicious chocolate.
They are really fudgy. Yeah, they're
Snickerdoodle. We have vegan line.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So tell us about the bakery.
Okay.
It's in Yonkers, and how many folks do you have work there?
So the bakery is about 100 folks, and it's best when I talk to people, get an appreciation. It's really a food manufacturing facility So we operate 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. During
So
our
3
busy
shifts.
season. Yep. We actually run 12-hour shifts.
2 shifts. Wow.
2 shifts. So it's important because it's hard work. And then as we get into what the model is about, where we provide job opportunities, no questions asked. People walk into the front door of the bakery, put your name on a list. When we have a job available, we take the next name off the list. We give it to the person in line.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been doing it this way for 36 years. Our founder had this belief that you could trust in the potential of people to be successful. Now we take the dollars that we might typically use as a business to filter people out, and we invest it in skills to make people successful.
So, I can tell the first question people are having on their minds, particularly CEOs, is like, okay, but does that really work?
Right.
So,
let's take it. Right. Let's take it. Right.
Yeah.
37 years of it working. Right. But how do we know that it works? Right. We have some of the most dedicated and successful people on the floor of the bakery. I don't know if I answered. We have 100 people that work in the bakery. About 75 come through our model of open hiring. Our insurance costs are no different than any other bakery. Our workers' comp costs are no different from any other bakery. We have no long list of legal issues, no long list of challenges that we're dealing with. These are folks that just needed an opportunity to get into the workforce, and they're terrific. And now as I talk to other business leaders, particularly as we're facing record low unemployment levels, there's all of these barriers that are put in front of people. Instead of just saying, hey, let me take the next guy, let me give Lauren a chance. I'll tell him what he needs to do to be successful. And then it's important, to your point, not everyone can make it. There are reasons people aren't successful, and we have to let people know and let them go, because I've got to get brownies out the door.
Right.
So it's a business model that we think works, but it's moving the cost from the front end and saying no to everybody, and saying yes to the next person, and investing that time and effort into trying to make them successful.
So your time to fill a job must be like close to 1 day. Hours.
Yeah, hours. We've got a list of people that we call ready to come to work.
So like if you have an issue with time to fill, this is a really good model. Just right there, it's a good model.
Yeah. People are losing money every day trying to fill positions that they can't find people.
Like literally losing money because you can't do the work, you can't deliver the brownies, and that order was already placed.
You're paying overtime to your existing team, and you're just interviewing.
And working them hard because you said 12-hour days.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to take, again, I appreciate us having this conversation. If I'm the lawyer for the company, and I'm talking to the HR person, I'm saying, wait a minute, risk mitigation. I can't hire somebody who's been charged with a felony. I can't hire somebody who's been charged with a sex crime. Because if anything happens, then we have all this exposure. How do you deal with that? And I'll keep eating.
The question that often is asked about me is like, hey, I don't want to work next to a sex offender. And my response is, how do you know you're not working next to one now? And so my question to the GCs and the legal that have that question is, do you think your work environment is not protecting your team members well enough? Because then it's not a recruiting issue. It's a different kind of issue that you need to put in place all the practices to ensure whoever comes through the door
I like that.
is working in a safe and comfortable environment.
Because that's like treating people as adults.
Well, I mean, you clearly want to make sure your team members are protected however you're doing your recruiting.
Yeah.
The likelihood of a risk happening because someone is formally incarcerated, particularly if their experience in the criminal justice system isn't related to a crime against humanity,
right?
Why are they any more likely to do something in your place of work than they've ever done anywhere else in their lives?
And the truth is, I think, at least what I've read, is that most crimes are crimes of opportunity.
Correct.
And it's quite circumstantial, except there's so many infinite circumstances that people commit crimes. And, unfortunately, there's over-policing in some places.
Yeah.
Like, you can take a look in your state. What are the laws if you break a fence for having cocaine versus the laws for having marijuana? Yeah. And in New York, right, it's much smaller for cocaine than it is for marijuana, right? And most people who are African American, they're smoking marijuana. People who are European American are using cocaine. Yep. That's like,
It's. I want to say a couple of things, because criminal justice reform is taking on a really exciting time right now. People are recognizing we need to do things differently. But if it's the business leaders that aren't also changing their models to give the folks that are getting opportunities to get out of the prison systems or having their sentences reduced, and particularly with the legalization of marijuana, it's business leaders' kind of moral need to step in and say, hey, we can give folks a chance, but you need to be progressive. You need to think about how to do it.
Right.
I want to point something out about open hiring. While we work with a lot of the formerly incarcerated, it's also broader than that.
Sure.
And anyone can put their name on the list. So we're able to help folks that might not have a long work history. These could be single moms. You can imagine veterans. You can imagine refugees that are legal to work, that don't have a work history. So the model of open hiring is really just believing in the potential of the person and investing in that potential. And while that's great for the formerly incarcerated, it's great for a whole groups of people that have been excluded from the workforce.
So walk me through some of them, like the actual nuts and bolts of, okay, I put a new sign up that says open hiring. And now all of a sudden there's a line out the door, right? What do I do?
Yeah, I mean, I think that line actually is an important aspect of the process for making sure you're meeting the needs of those most in need.
Right.
So we have a list, and it will take 2, 6, 10 months to get off the list. But we know those people that are then on the list are the team members that we want to help most because they haven't found another opportunity.
Okay. But so what do I do once I talk to them?
So yeah, you
I do interview them, right?
No, you don't interview.
I don't interview.
You don't interview.
There's no interview.
No. Why would you want to do that?
Okay.
That person is going to be successful. They could be working in your organization in like no time.
There's a huge pucker factor right now.
What factor?
A pucker factor.
People going, what?
No, I'll pucker the other way. Like, okay, this sounds scary. So now I just hire you. I hire Bob. Bob's now he's working.
Right. No.
Yeah.
So the way we would do it, and it's important to note. So we've started what we're calling the Center for Open Hiring at Greyston to help businesses think about how they want to do it themselves, because we don't think everyone's going to do it just like Greyston. You can.
Well, tell me how you guys.
Right. So I'll tell you how we do it, but do it with an appreciation that different organizations may want to take elements of this, but what we're trying to do is, hey, take a bite of the apple.
Right.
So what we do is we'll be running our factory floor. We'll have openings when we have, let's say, 4 openings, because we've got enough team members to manage production.
Mm-hmm.
We'll bring in a cohort of 10. So we'll make enough calls on the list to bring in 10 folks. Now that might mean we'll go through many more names off the list than 10 because people will have either moved on, found another opportunity, or unfortunately some may have gone back into the prison system. Those 10 folks will come in and, like I just explained, there's no interview, but there is a process that says, all right, Lauren, welcome to Greyston. Today you have a job. This is what you need to do to be successful on the job. This is what you need to do to be unsuccessful. This is the training you're going to get before you learn or have an opportunity to be on the floor. And the training is, we think, the framing of the training is typical for any organization. 3 things. Worker readiness training, sometimes called soft skills. Industry-specific skills. So for us, it's food defense and food safety. And then hard skills. How do you mix a bowl of brownies? How do you deposit brownies onto a pan? Once people are informed around what those things are and what the expectations are, we let them go for that day. And we say, this is what you need to do. Come back tomorrow and we'll really get into the training. And all along the way, people will self-select themselves out.
I see. So I'm just curious, from day 1 to day 2, what's the drop?
There's even a drop. And so these are things we measure and we're getting better at. And this is where the ROI, the model, is so interesting, and where the work at the center is to help other businesses understand it is, we may get 10 people to agree to come on that first day and only 9 show up. Then the next day we could typically lose 1 or 2, right? You're working 12-hour shifts. Right, sure. This is work.
So you're going to have like a good 10% drop on the second day.
Yeah, something like that could be. I mean, it's difficult. The cohorts change each time.
Sure.
Because
but an average.
Like 10%.
Yeah. Okay, and so now you have the 6 people show up on the second day.
Yep.
And now what do you do?
So now you're into more detailed orientation or training. So you get into those 3. So then that will be 3 additional days.
3 days. Mm-hmm. So they get 3 days of training. That's it? 3 days.
And then before they get on the floor.
Before they get on the floor.
So quickly, I'm trying to figure out how do I get my team members to be on the floor producing for me. I mean, so the interview process is actually a process of work. Right. And then they're on the floor. So then when they make it to the floor, they're being mentored. So they don't immediately.
So give me the drop-offs between, like, I will just say the 3 days. So from the second day of work and the 4th day of employment, or 5th day of employment.
Yeah. So you might lose another 10%.
Okay, so now we're down to 5.
Well, no, so you jump from, let me get my percentages right. You probably be on 8 or 9 after the first day,
Right.
and then 7 or 8 into the fourth day when you're on the floor.
Okay, so fourth day, I've got 7 people actually going to be ready to work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now what do I do?
Now you've got
Because you said I only needed 4.
only 4.
Yeah.
So now you've got team members that are prepared to work with these other folks on the floor, and they shadow you, they'll mentor you. The team begins to work.
And how long? Like how
for the
long
full
do
day.
people? No, how long people are mentoring?
So then you get into a process of understanding the apprenticeship at Grayston. So the apprenticeship runs 10 months. They will mentor and shadow someone for another 2 to 3 days. Then they get their own spot, but the shadower or the mentorer becomes a close buddy, if you will, to make sure the work is being done properly. Within 2 weeks, people are productive on the floor doing the work we need.
So in 2 weeks from the first day, those people are productive.
Yep.
And when you say productive, do you have like a how productive or just they're producing? Fully productive?
I mean, so we are a food manufacturing facility, so the roles are all interchangeable, right? We need to get 40,000 pounds of brownies out a day. That's about a tractor trailer of brownies a day.
Right.
Any one particular position in the line that doesn't work wouldn't allow us to be successful.
Gotcha. So they're up to speed in
They're
2
up to
weeks.
speed.
So if you have a business model, and I think this is important, right? Because if you have a business model where 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, people can get up to speed or something like that, because you're saying it's not suitable, like this isn't going to be every business, then this model, this is one of the other gating factors, the check boxes, right? How long does it take someone to get up to speed in my business? It's got to be within a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And you would say, how long is that? A month, 2 months?
I mean, so where I challenge business leaders to think about it in their organizations, and I'll take issue with saying it's not for everyone. We would like to think it could be for everyone, but we can talk about that a little bit more on how that would work. But where are those jobs where, like you say, someone can get up to speed in a reasonable amount of time, demonstrate they're effective at that job, and then they don't need to stay in that job for 10 years. That could be the gateway into what the next set of jobs are.
Sure.
So finding that role where people are successful on it, and there's a couple factors that lead into that. And they're pretty simple, right? So I'm not talking rocket science here. Any job where you can clearly define the standards of what people need to do.
Sure.
Right? Take a brownie, wrap it correctly. Is it straight? Is it in the box effectively? So you have to be able to identify what the standards of good performance are. And the second piece is you have to be able to hold someone accountable to do those standards. So if you have those 2 things, you can really create, I think, thousands of different open hiring types.
Okay, that's good to know, like what you think the wider parameters are.
Yep.
So what's been the net effect, you think, for the people that are in your community, the workers, of having this type of resource?
Yeah.
I mean, like any heartwarming story.
There could be any number of heartwarming stories. Let me go with a little more of the tangible aspects of what too many communities deal with. In Southwest Yonkers, where we're located, 1 in 3 people are living in poverty. They don't have an opportunity.
Right.
It's not a second chance for many of them. It's any fair chance at a job.
Right.
They are working in a school system that might be or is likely not effective. The healthcare models that are criminal justice.
Right. That's really important. So people think about New York City, right? There's boroughs, and in each borough there's neighborhoods, and in each neighborhood you have different kinds of economic situations. That economic situation is going to manifest in how the school is, and the whole thing, right? Like whether there's like supermarkets,
that's right.
And you think like supermarkets, well, of course, no, there's not supermarkets, and that makes food more expensive and less nutritious.
That's correct.
And puts pressure on a family, and there's not doctors, which puts pressure on a family, and there's not those things that you might find in your community.
That's right.
Which is all happening in the Yonkers.
It's all happening in Yonkers. So now we can go all sorts of ways with what we want to talk about next, but the idea of hope is what that simple list at Grayston Bakery represents to people. That in many communities, you think, I got no chance at a job. I'm never going to get one. When you put your name on a list at Grayston, you're guaranteed that you will get a call at some point to get a job. How does that hope manifest itself? I think it changes the dynamic of the way people think about what they might be able to do. Whereas another community we're working in Rochester, where it's now the
Rochester,
leading,
New York.
Rochester, New York, with the leading city in the world of its size for childhood poverty in the U.S. Let me be clear.
So they lead child poverty, which is not something you want to be doing.
Not necessarily, absolutely not.
Right.
And I'll talk a little bit about it tomorrow. But the need for people to have a path that is different from the ones that their parents had, and have a pathway into employment, is what open hiring can do for many people.
Yeah.
And then to get to some of the stories you referenced, the TED Talk I did was with a team member of mine. So if you do watch it for DeAndre. He is an amazing guy, and he's taught me more than I would have ever thought I could have learned from any individual guy. And one of those things is this term, a legal life. A legal life.
A legal life.
You have any idea what that might mean? Probably.
I have a sense.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, in my interpretation would be that a lot of people, just by the sheer existence of their lives, they're constantly being arrested or inadvertently breaking the law, and they can't get out of that legal system.
Yep. And in Dion's situation, in many situations,
is that what Dion would say?
Well, it's Dion has to make the choice. Like when I grew up, I'm not making a choice between should I lead a legal life or an illegal life.
I see.
But that option isn't available to many. The legal life option is not available to many people in many of these communities.
Right.
And Dion had to make the choice after being a drug dealer and supporting himself and having a reasonably good life in his mind to saying, I need to have a legal life. And without an opportunity like Grayston's, too many people don't get to make that chance. They only have the one option, which is an illegal life. And if you want to support yourself or live, eat, would you choose to do something illegal or would you starve? There's not that many options in too many communities.
Exactly.
Dion, as he tells it, searched after making this commitment to have a legal life for months to find an opportunity, put his name on the list at Grayston, and as many people do, had forgotten. And then he was about to say, okay, I'm not going to be able to survive unless something changes. And that's when he got the call from Grayston. And now he's one of our managers. He's an incredible ambassador. This TED Talk is amazing. But more important to him is he has a young daughter that he can support. He has a cushion of insurance and a stable income that allows him to buy cars and effectively rent a house. So to him, an opportunity like Grayston is just incredibly life-changing.
So is it the same process? Because obviously you have 100 people, but not everyone's a baker or a part of the baking process.
Correct, yes.
You have a marketing team?
I do.
And do all those people go through the same?
No. So that's our challenge at Grayston, is how do we take now our team members and create that full path all the way through the organization. And
for accountants?
And so you can imagine where we have been successful, which has been moving people through the production area, which has been effective into quality assurance, and now into the maintenance process. But we get lots of folks that are excited and interested in marketing. So how do we integrate that more into our social media strategy and the way we do our events and all that kind of thing?
Right. So is being on the floor a way to get into those jobs?
Everyone starts on the floor.
Everyone?
Not everyone through open hiring starts on the floor.
Okay.
And now getting folks from the floor into our marketing department is what we're working towards.
But if the marketing department needs somebody, and they're looking for somebody who has an experience in marketing, they're going to go outside.
Yes.
Okay. And that person is going to go through what you would consider like
more traditional
hiring process.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't yet, or you haven't figured out how that can meet the parameters that you've already set up for the overhire.
That's right.
I'll tell you that'd be a trick.
You think?
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've thought about the technology field offers, in my mind, and now this is where the folks like we just met outside might be able to say where those challenges really make it very difficult. But being able to clearly define how to code a certain challenge.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you went to Stanford or never graduated from high school, if you can do that same coding at a certain pace.
So I'm gonna make the argument about that.
Yeah, please do.
I think it all depends on the software. So my brother went to University of Maryland. He has a degree in computer science.
Yep.
I've worked with coders around the world. I can tell you that not all coders are the same.
Yep.
like if a coder didn't have that math background
Yep.
or understand the engineering or the nuts, the guts behind, then they're doing this thing called hacking, right? They're just trying different things and they make it work.
Yep.
So you can have a hacker kind of put something together, and you can have someone who's actually architecting and designing software.
Yep.
Do basically the exact same thing.
Yep.
The problem with the hacked together piece is that it just takes a lot more time. It's a lot more cumbersome. The person really doesn't understand how it works, but it works.
Yep.
So like you have to make a
The
decision.
spaghetti code isn't easily
Exactly.
built upon. And,
Right.
Yep.
And they probably couldn't reproduce it, and they couldn't document it,
Yep.
and they couldn't tell you how it works.
Yep.
They just know magically it works.
Yep.
And again, that may be good,
Yep.
but you wouldn't want that software to launch a spaceship, or or do something like that.
Yeah. And so our challenge is to identify, is there a piece of that, right? So you wouldn't want to hire someone without knowing that they have all of that background for certain.
Yeah.
But would there be a small piece of that becomes a rudimentary?
Yeah, I mean there are
Stepping
things.
stone
Yeah,
into
I
that?
mean there are things that are easy to learn, like WordPress or
Correct.
web coding or some of those things. And I do think that my dad taught in a vocational high school in Manhattan, and they taught people skills on how to do things, nursing, business, and they did it.
Yep.
We as a country, I believe we should invest in that type of, I call vocational, but technical training. I know in Arlington where I live, they have some of that,
Yeah.
that teach people how to do jobs they can do. I mean, my plumber, my electrician, they make a lot more money than I do. These are good jobs.
Yep.
I think that anyway, that's my personal opinion, that we need to focus on getting people jobs that we actually need,
Yep.
that are good jobs.
Yep. I agree. And giving people a path into better jobs
Yeah.
is a huge opportunity for businesses.
Yeah, and make education just more like free, affordable, or just like available everywhere. I mean, there's a lot of people doing that kind of stuff, but I get your well, anyway.
I think that the challenge that we think of to kind of go in that a different direction is organizations that believe they have a workforce that requires a certain level of education or experience
Right.
that wouldn't be well suited to open hiring. My ask of them is to think about who else in their supply chain is supporting them that might have jobs
Yeah.
that are more well suited to the type of open hiring that
Yeah.
we talked
Or
about.
try one.
Or try one.
Try one. We just did a show on Agile, which is just try one.
Just try. Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Right.
that's a huge piece. Try one, or think about the folks that are working in your mailroom or working in your cafeteria. How can you help them to say, okay, you're doing a great job here. Like, what's the next step that I can provide you in my organization to be more effective?
Because I think, particularly with computer programming, I know people who are really good at math are great programmers.
Yeah.
And to figure out if somebody's good at math, and somebody could be good at math anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
You don't have an education to be naturally talented at math.
Yeah.
That if you figure that person out, you bring them in as a, kind of intern, but you're paying them as a full-time employee, that could be a really star performer.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you're getting, Lauren, at what the kind of work we want to do at the center, which is Greyston is humble at what we think we do know.
Mm-hmm.
We know this is a great model for finding talent for the type of work that we're doing, which is probably also millions of other jobs. But there are many, many millions of other types of jobs out there that if we could attract the right people to come work with us, to help us do some research, to be thorough about the model, that we can really tap into other things that we're doing.
So people listening, people who are listening can volunteer. Can they help out?
They can help out.
They can help out. They can get involved and maybe use your model to hire. Or they could be hiring. They could be hirers for these people.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we're talking about recruiting and trying to think about how.
And you want them to partner with you, the foundation.
I absolutely do. I want them to come to our immersive learning sessions at the Center for Open Hiring and understand what we're doing and think about how they can do it at their business.
Nice. And how do they find those things?
It's on our website, greyston.org.
Greyston.org. It's
Yep.
GREYSTON.org.
Yeah.
And they can find everything.
They can find everything.
So thank you so much. And thanks for the brownies. That was a good brownie. So Mike, how can folks reach you if they want?
They can reach me. They can follow me on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's at the Mike Brady.
Mm-hmm.
They can write me at mikeb@greyston.org. How else do people typically get on?
Oh my goodness! I
think
think
those should work.
Those are good. Those are good enough. And so if you're listening, go and check out Greyston Bakeries and the Greyston Foundation and share the good word. Check out the TED Talk.
Check out the TED Talk. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hiring the unemployed.
Nice. Thank you so much for being on the show. Really
Lauren, thanks
appreciate
for letting me tell the story.
Absolutely.
The future of business depends on us being more progressive, and we can solve a lot of our country's problems by thinking a little bit differently about how we give people an opportunity to join the workforce.
Wonderful. And on that note, I'm Lauren Epstein, your host on the Lauren Epstein Show. We're here at the Talent Board Candy Event Conference with ERE, and we're so grateful for them to have us here. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you very much.